So I work for different companies, for private blockchains, public blockchains, staking providers, outsourcing companies, mostly as a product manager, but switched more to business development in the past years. But we're here to talk about Calimero. So Calimero is a private shard solution. What is a private shard? It's a customizable L2 network that can be built on top of Near and can be connected to Near. So Calimero was spun off from Near ecosystem with our founders, Sandy and Mario, been talking with Ilya to understand how this type of approach, the private shards, can help scaling existing Web3 infrastructure, but also introduce new players in the ecosystems and help enterprises to start adopting Web3. So how it works? You can join Calimero application. We have launched our development shard recently, so you can launch your own network in a matter of like several minutes. And this network is fully compatible with Near, so everything that works on Near would work on Calimero. We're also working on partnering up with Aurora, so in like a few months, we would also support EVM. So nearly any project that was built for Ethereum ecosystem would also work on Calimero. And we also have developed a bridge. So I think it's one of the, I prefer not saying the fastest, but definitely one of the fastest bridges being developed. It was inspired by Aurora Bridge, Rainbow Bridge, but we have developed some own features. So basically, you're able to bridge assets from Near mainnet to a Calimero shard and back in a matter of like 5 seconds.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. We certainly need to unpack a lot of that, Gleb. But before we kick that off, I have a question, and it's not so much focused on the tech, but the wider regulatory landscape. So for those of you listening, I'm sure many of you can remember those many moons ago when Tornado Cash got taken down, or at least taken down to the extent that it can be taken down, and one of the lead developers was arrested. Gleb, does private sharding and private transactions on a blockchain, does it leave either the company who is powering it or the ecosystem vulnerable to regulations like that? Or is this something that Calimero has already addressed in the way that they've designed their infrastructure?
Well, we see that regulations and law enforcement goes for everybody. I don't know if you heard the latest news, I think from today, about Monero, where like with some figures that about 40% of Monero transactions were tracked. But basically this is DK stuff that was developed without meaning to be tracked. I would say that in case of Calimero, privacy doesn't mean that you are hiding something. Privacy means that you don't want other people to see it. So private shard in Calimero, what we have also developed is the very granular permissions management. So you can define who can read the transactions from the private shard. You can define who can interact with certain smart contracts from the shard. So basically, it's not, as I said, it's not about hiding. It's more about making some things private that maybe some members of the community can access, or people with certain roles, or people who have, performed a set of transactions, they can access certain information. About the regulations, since we are like a private shard, so the entity that is kicking off the shard, and in our case, it can be a single entity or a DAO. So we are providing the community-owned shard. In this case, this entity is responsible for what's happening inside the shard. So we're just providing infrastructure for them. I don't know how this would work for DAOs. It's really interesting. It would be really interesting to see how this bureaucratic machine would try to address DAOs and community ownership style. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be something that's going to be uncovered, I'm sure, as we progress. But as we all know, that technology moves a lot faster than regulations and the people sitting in certain colored houses on hills in certain cities. But just another question on that, Gleb, actually. So the way that it's structured, could, for instance, I say, hey, I want to run my dApp on a private shard, and I want to select X people who can and can't use the dApp. And then all of a sudden, I get a knock on the door, and it's the FBI, and they say, "Hey, we know that you're running your dApp on this private shard. We want to see the receipts and see what's actually going on." Now, I haven't done anything illegal. It was just purely to protect the privacy of my dApp users. Could I then easily give access to the data within that private shard if I was required to by law to whomever requested it?
I think the answer is yes. But like I didn't think much about this question because most of our customers were not asking the questions. What do we do if FBI knocks on? But yeah, so you can provide access to anybody who you want. If that would be a DAO shard, like a community-owned shard, there should be some kind of voting, and we're still developing this. So we don't have I don't have a strict answer right now. So yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, I know that's probably a niche question, but I think, in light of even things that have happened today, right? You mentioned it earlier with Monero, and I think it's Fluffy Unicorn, right? Oh, that was his digital persona. He got arrested, or he was an informer or something. But anyhow, you mentioned most of your clients and the customers that you've spoken to. Primarily, who is using this product, right? Who is reaching out to Calimero and saying, "Hey, we need private sharding infrastructure because we want to leverage blockchain tech, but it can't be as transparent as it truly is on a base level."
Yeah, I would divide our customers in two big cohorts. One is Web3. So for certain Web3 projects, we provide the opportunities to scale their existing products or develop new products that were not possible in mainnet. Because as a private shard, we don't like when you run private shard, you don't need to use monetary incentives for the validator, so the transactions are free. And we have partnered with Spin.fi a while ago, and you better ask them about their product. But basically, what they want to do, they want to provide in a product where you can experience the centralized exchange way of working, but based on the private shard. So basically, it's an order book. And if you think about doing this on mainnet, unfortunately, I think even on near with the current price of transactions, it would not be economically viable, I would say. Because if you're running an order book, you need to do a lot of transactions, and the matching engine is really a heavy part of the solution in terms of computation. And we are also working with some other companies in Web3, mostly in near ecosystem, because they have products and they have some of their customers that would love to have privacy. So, for example, a company that does crypto payroll, they are doing their general product is on mainnet, but some of their clients, they just don't want to expose this information to public. And you can deploy a product on Calimero, breach the fund onto the shard, then do your payroll and bridge the funds out, so nobody sees how they are distributed inside. But everybody see that the incoming flow and the outgoing flow is the same.
Brilliant.
Which
Okay.
can be verified. Yeah. The other part are the enterprises. So we're talking. There are several supply chain startups. One is ETL, which is public. The other one I can't say right now because they didn't go public yet. They are building supply chain applications on top of Calimero, and we're talking like with different industries. Right now, we see a lot of feedback from telecom industry that they want to try and use Calimero. But I would say our idea is that we don't compare ourselves to, like, let's say, generation one private blockchains like IBM Fabric or Corda. Like, some people may say Corda is not even a blockchain, but that's arguable. So we're not providing the closed ecosystem with the own, programming language, own way to do things. But what we do is we open the opportunity for enterprises to get access to like tons of beautiful projects, tons of open source software that was built for Near and for Ethereum ecosystems. Because if you think about, for example, such use case as ticketing, then you can use like an NFT marketplace, which is perfectly fit for ticketing, and it provides a secondary market, which is really a pain for ticketing companies. And there are a lot of other use cases where enterprises can just start using the things from Web3 in their day-to-day activities. And we are also educating them that they can slowly start adopting Web3 through Calimero, so in a managed way. And with the bridge, they can start going into Web3, like slowly incorporating Web3 into their product. I'm not talking about, like, I don't know, Adidas doing an NFT drop. That's cool, but that's not Web3 integration, because yes, they did it, but Adidas is not connected to Web3 wallet. But what we want to do is we want to bring more big companies, more enterprises into Web3 through Calimero.
Okay, that's really, really interesting, actually, Gleb. So you're talking about enterprises, Web2 companies who want to be in the world of Web3, and you mentioned telecoms there. What does Calimero offer a telecom company who wants to get into the world of Web3, and why wouldn't they use just the base layer of Near, for instance?
So the first answer is simple. A ton of companies that they're not doing this public, but a ton of big companies. I think almost every company with like a headcount of 10,000 people have some research center or blockchain lab that experiment with different blockchains, and they try to understand how they can use this in their product. So that is like not the hardest thing. Why? And like just a quote that we're not building the product for enterprises by ourselves. We are providing the infrastructure, and we have a set of partners who work with us and who can build actual solutions on top of Calimero. Why Calimero? Why Near? I think because I would say Near had a brilliant approach to sharding, which keeps the blockchain united. So it's a single blockchain, but it's sharded, so the transaction throughput is really big. And in Calimero, we have tested it, that like a Calimero shard can process up to 200,000 transactions per second. It would be like a heavy setup. There would be shards, like in terms of nightshade consensus shards inside this private shard on Calimero. But yeah, you can still process this amount of transactions, which is good. Calimero, like a near, has JavaScript SDK, which really helps in adoption because I know that Rust is being more popular, but we have some partners who are building contracts in JavaScript on top of Near, and they love it. And yeah, I think like Ethereum went to a different way of scaling with rollup. We will see what would be good, but I think the way of scaling with shards is like it's the way that enterprises understand better. So that's why that's my answer right now.
No, that was a great answer, Gleb. You've absolutely you've covered it, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So you mentioned the JavaScript SDK that is available on Nia and therefore on Calimero. Are you finding that most projects are actually leveraging that JavaScript SDK? Because I know version 1.0 was born at ETH Denver, or at least officially announced by Josh Ford from Pagoda. That's a really interesting topic to touch on, actually, because for those who don't know, there's only compared to the amount of JavaScript developers in the world, there's only a handful of Rust and certainly even fewer of Solidity. So are you finding that people are picking up and running with that JavaScript SDK?
I would say that we see most of the people in Web3, like the developers who are doing development in public approach. Most of them, they use Rust because, I don't know, like Rust became crypto native, I would say, because other ecosystems also depend on Rust. But when we talk about enterprises, when we talk about big adoption, I think JavaScript is really critical here. And I've talked to a couple of blockchain labs who were experimenting with near testnet. Now they are switching to Calimero. And yeah, they just use the JavaScript SDK. It's not like, I think right now Rust is more popular, but I think we will see the proportion changing in like the next 1-2 years. And as we said, there are like a lot more JavaScript developers in the world. And if you develop like any tool, you support JavaScript, it becomes like much easier to switch on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, perfect. Now, Gleb, you are, of course, in the CertiK Discord. CertiK is the security company, the leading security company in the world of Web3, is certainly one of them. And of course, Calimero performed their audit with CertiK. So could you comment a little bit about the security of the Calimero network, the security of private shards, and of course, if you're aware of them, the results from your audit, because I did check it out, and you guys you did an incredible job.
Yeah, thank you. And we also enjoyed working with CertiK. I worked like with other auditing companies in the past, but yeah, the way of working with CertiK is very good. So since in the guts of Calimero we used Nearcore, there was not that much about that, but we wanted to have the full audit of the bridge because we have developed it by ourselves, and this is the critical part. When you do something on a private shard, you can hide it from public. You can there are ways to deal with it. But once you start using bridge and once you start bridging the real assets, like it could be both fungible and non-fungible tokens, this is where things may go wrong. So that's why this was our first priority in the audit. And it was real good. It was done really fast. And I would admit that the level of details in the CertiK was really, really cool because some of them were addressed, some of them really resulted into changes in the code. Most of them were addressed, I would say, in the documentation, saying that this is a private shard, this is not a public network. So some things were, I would say, over auditing, like over engineering. It was over auditing, but yeah, in general, it really helped us a lot.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, over audit rather than under audit, right? I mean, you'd much
Yes,
rather
yes,
have,
of course, of course.
yeah, 100%, man. Okay, Gleb, we've got about 30 minutes left. We do have some questions from the community, and I always love to give our incredible guests a few minutes to talk about whatever they like at the end of the AMA. But before we dive into that, I know I personally would love to know a little bit more about what the future plans are for Calimero. I know you, Sandy, the co-founder, who I know and love dearly, announced the launch of private shards at Near Day at East Denver. But what's on the roadmap, right? Can you give us any alpha? Is really what I'm asking for.
So yeah, one of the top priorities are integrating with Aurora, so we can start supporting EVM, which is I think crucial because, like to be honest, a lot of things were developed for EVM, and I really love that Aurora is basically hacking hacking stuff to bring these beautiful projects to Near ecosystem. We're also working on events and oracles that would help people to deploy their oracles and integrate public oracles inside the private shards. These are, I think, the top three things, but we have like a small research team, and we are actively researching different things. ZK snark, roll up, other stuff, Intel SGX, security in cloud, everything that would help people and help projects to onboard, because as we have more features that are requested by the market, then the more successful would be the project itself.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. It sounds like you guys are on the right track. But just a quick one, Gleb, because I don't think everybody in the audience today is near native, shall we say, or is entirely familiar with the near ecosystem. So, can you give us a quick rundown, a very brief overview of what Aurora is?
Yeah, Aurora is a very interesting project. I would like ask everybody to consider and get some time to study about it. So Aurora is a smart contract that is deployed on Near, which basically emulates the EVM machine. So this is EVM as a smart contract on Near. Which is a very beautiful architecture. So it's not like a separate blockchain or a separate layer. But it's the way that you can execute, you can deploy and execute smart contracts written in Solidity for EVM network on top of Neo. And
Got it.
This is this was a brilliant idea. I know that there are some other companies doing the same stuff for other networks, but I think Aurora has pioneered this, and it's really awesome.
Got it. Okay, so it essentially allows the emulation of the Ethereum virtual machine and the entire Ethereum ecosystem, but it's built on Near. I know that it's deployed as a smart contract, and it actually allows developers and users to access Solidity-based decentralized applications, but they get all of the wonderful benefits of Near, and that includes faster finality, lower transaction fees, and faster transactions, right?
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. Glad. Thank you so much. Look, we have about 28 minutes remaining, so I'm going to put a little cut in the middle right now, and we're going to go over to some wonderful questions that we got from the incredible community that is here. So the first question is from San Moritz. It's quite technical. I certainly don't know the answer to it. I'm sure you do. And they asked, can public smart contracts call into private shards contracts with Calimero? And if so, how does this work?
Yeah, the answer is yes. So in our bridge, we have like two, I would say, separate things. One is a fungible and non-fungible token connector, which you can use to transfer fungible and non-fungible tokens, respectively, to from mainnet to shard and vice versa. And the other part is cross-shard contract call. So basically, the bridge is the bridge itself. It's built on the light client approach. So each of the chain saves and synchronizes the state of the other chain, like the root hash of the other chain, of the other chain state. And this allows you, so this allows chain A, let's say it would be a Calimero shard, to verify the transaction that happened on your mainnet and vice versa. So this allows the, as we call it, cross-shard contract calls. So basically you can develop a smart contract that is doing something on near, and then it calls another smart contract from the private shard. And I would encourage people to go to our GitHub repo. We have some examples there of the tic-tac-toe game, where the game happens on the shard, like all moves are recorded on the shard, but the initiation of the game and the end result is saved on the mainnet.
Wow, okay. Interesting. So that's almost like a proof of concept of what can be done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. And where would anybody go if they wanted to check it out?
Just go to our website, calimero.network, and we have a link to our GitHub. So the bridge code is public, and the examples are also public. But like, feel free to reach us if you have any additional questions.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Let us take a look at what question is up next, Gleb. And we have a wonderful question from Ubong Bassi. And they asked, in regards to Calimero sharding, what kind of real-life applications or adoptions will private sharding improve to help bring the masses, quote-unquote, to Calimero and to the world of Web3 in general?
That's a good question, but like personally, I feel that the applications that somehow use NFTs, I would say, as tickets, as badges, reputation badges, I don't know, coupons, this kind of stuff, because like we have saw like the tokens, the fungible tokens, they were, I don't know how to say, discovered a while ago, but we don't see much about that, a lot of adoption outside of Web3. But with non-fungible tokens, I think it would go better. We have gone from the like year of NFT madness, and which is good. And now we will go to we will see another rise, but with the real use cases. That's my feeling based on the talks that we have. That this is like the most straightforward way for adoption.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think we're getting, well, certainly in the world of NFTs, moving away from hype towards real utility. I know there's some incredible projects that are building NFT ticketing applications and trying to code away the middleman that is, unfortunately for all of us, Ticketmaster and co. So we can stop getting ripped off, and hopefully Calimero will play a role in that where appropriate as well. Gleb, thank you so much for that wonderful answer and the insight. Final question is from Roger Crypto 11. This is an interesting one, actually. And it's really not so much about the product itself, but about how you guys operate as a team. And they asked, how has the experience of your co-founders and team been instrumental in the success of the Calimero Network project with their impressive backgrounds? Could you please talk about this a little bit? Because, of course, you do have some wonderful team members on the team, including yourself. So how has that amalgamation of experience led to the success and the launch that you guys are seeing now?
Good question. So first of all, Sandy and Mario, our founders, both worked at Near, and they were the first two engineers, like in the certain team of Near, that was for the site response, engineers, and which helped a lot because they are tech people and they know stuff. So Sandy is not a normal CEO who asks about certain things. He jumps into all technical discussions and he knows what he's talking about. So which is good. Another thing, like Sandy and Chabi, our app team lead, they both worked at Facebook, which also helped because first of all, we've got a lot of connections from them, and they brought. I think they have a mix. We have a mix of a culture from Facebook, from Near. So we've taken, and all other team members also worked in different high-tech companies. We have a person who worked at Uber, and we have a mix of different company cultures from both worlds, from both Web 2 and Web 3, which helps a lot. And yeah, we're working remotely, which is like in the post-COVID era, it's normal, but we're meeting pretty often. So
Yes, absolutely. I see you guys at a lot of incredible events, not just in the Near ecosystem, but in the entirety of Web3. I feel like I can't turn a corner and not see someone's face from the Calimero team, which is an incredible thing, right? Because it means that you guys are out there, you're on the ground, you're talking to people, you're talking to the organizations who could potentially turn into leads and customers and help you build out, of course, the wonderful business that you guys are building. So, Gleb, on that note, I know you guys just went to East Denver, and then I believe you were at a money conference, right?
we were at Money Motion in
Correct.
Zagreb, the last
How
one.
was that?
I didn't attend that one. It was, I would say, it was good enough, but these were, full of boring bankers.
Yeah. Okay. Too many people in suits.
Yeah, not ready. So most of them were not ready to speak. But I don't know what we can expect in the future. But these banking crisis, the small amount that we saw in public, I think these people are worried right now, and still I don't believe they see the answer in Web3. But it would be really interesting how how the whole Web3 ecosystem, how it would react. I liked how the stuff with the USDC price went out, but we need to work more to prevent such things in the future.
100%. 100%. And let's hope that one day we turn around and we're using what appears to be a traditional Web 2 application, but on the back end they're leveraging Calimero and all of the incredible technology that you guys have built. While we stay on the topic of events, in our final few minutes, our final 18 minutes or so, where can people catch you next, Gleb? Are you heading to Consensus? Are you heading to the Web3 festival in Hong Kong? I know Paris Blockchain Week is this week. Where's your next stop on the show that is Calimero?
So I can definitely say that I would be at Block Split in a couple of months in Croatia. For the other conferences, so our strategy is to attend as many conferences as we can, but make it rational. So we're not like going full team and spend spend all the budget that we have partying. Rather than that, we send like 1-2 people to as many conferences as we can. So it will be either me or Sandy or somebody else from the team.
Yeah, I think that's a wise decision, and I think, particularly when Web3 projects are in the throes of a bull market, that they think they can just ship people around here, there, and everywhere, and kind of not have to worry about the funding. But it sounds like you guys are spending responsibly, because I know that very recently as well, you did just close a fundraising round, led by some wonderful names in the world of Web3. Could you touch on that a little bit?
Yes, we've announced our seed round. It was like Near Foundation participated in it, and it was led by Khosla Ventures and other investors, beautiful investors. Unfortunately, I was not participating in it, and so I can tell you all the names because I don't remember everybody. But I would say that we have a beautiful team of investors. We have a good mix of Web 2 and Web 3 investors. So not everybody is a native Web 3 investor. So it's really interesting because we get good understanding of both of two worlds, and we have a constant feedback loop from our investors, which also helps us in building our development and sales strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. And it must be so valuable to not just have a pool of Web3 focused investors in that raise, because those Web2 investors that you mentioned, they must give a unique insight to how people think when they're outside of the Web3 bubble. I know a lot of us here live exclusively in it. I know I certainly do. But if you don't have that insight, then you can't really structure a sales pitch which appeals to the world of Web2, which is, for the most part, an entirely untapped market right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Brilliant, man. Okay, well, look, we have 15 minutes left. This is something that I love to do at the end of every single AMA, Twitter space, Discord space, Reddit space, sometimes even in my living room. The last 10 minutes or so, Gleb, you can spend a few minutes, you can spend as long as you want, talking to us about absolutely anything you want. You can shill Calimero, you can tell us what the best way is to drink green tea, how you fall asleep at night, what the name of your favorite dog is, how best to look after a snake. Anything you want, feel free to take the stage right now, tell the people what they need to know, and then we will begin to wrap it up. But it's all yours, man. Take it away.
Yeah, thank you. So I would respect the audience, and I feel maybe not everybody is a fan of green tea here. I'm a fan of coffee, but anyways, I think you've touched a good point that someday you will use like the Web 2 application, get the same experience with Calimero working behind it. And this is a very interesting topic because I feel that the thing that stops, it doesn't stop adoption, but it's a big blocker for many people, is the necessity to use your wallet to log in to a Web3 app. And on the contrary, if you use a custodian, then like not your keys, not your money, and this is like not a Web3 experience. So, in my opinion, the approach where you can let your user do something with your product, start using it for free, or pay with, I don't know, like a credit card or whatever, and hide the complexity, and hide all the Web3 mechanics behind is a good way to start. And then you can show it to the ones who are interested. For example, I would mention Sweat Economy, which who are developing an app where you can get rewards for walking. Like I'm not sure that this is like the right way of building apps. I'm not a fan of these types of apps. But they did a very interesting thing inside. So they've hidden everything that is connected with token, that is connected with blockchain behind. So when you first install it, it's just a normal like fitness app, like pure Web2 experience. But then if you want, you can educate yourself and they reward you for educating yourself. And you can get additional bonuses and you can get additional tokens, which are actual tokens on the near, which is, I think, brilliant. Brilliant idea of onboarding people. That's why they have like tons, like millions of users, because they don't ask you now. Yeah, you log in with MetaMask. What is MetaMask? Remember your passphrase, and this is a mess for normal people, which I call people outside of Web3. And I think this approach, I would love to see more of this. I would love to see games being built on blockchain. And by this, I mean not the NFT games. So being a gamer by myself, I've tried like a ton of NFT games, and they are like, the bad point is that they are not games. They were designed for making money, for mostly for the owners, for the creators of the game, but maybe for some active grinders, but were not designed for fun. And what I would love to see is like games that would slowly, in a hidden way, incorporate blockchain behind them, make some mechanics on the blockchain. For example, I don't know, public leaderboards, matchmaking, rating in rated competitive games that can be stored on blockchain. They can cover the cost of transactions. And I know that Near has a proposal that would allow third party to pay the transaction fee for the user, something that Biconomy project does in other ecosystems. And this is the way of real adoption. So I think because when you talk with the person outside of Web3, when you educate them, I have like several friends, I've talked to them a lot, educate them on tokens, stable coins, algorithmic stable coins, DeFi. And from most of these talks, what I get as a response, okay, yeah, I understand. I can send you 1,000 US dollars with USDC. I can keep it on my wallet and not at the bank. I have the control over it, but why should I use everything else? That was the question. And yeah, if you are not in this Web3 world, this is a very good question. Why should you use, I don't know, a DEX? Why should you use yield aggregator? Should you invest your tokens? Should you stake something? And this is hard to answer. And I think, so my belief is that this way of slow adoption, where you do a normal app or an app that pretends to be a normal Web2 app, but you hide everything behind the scenes. And for those who want to dig into it, you open this holy grail. That's, I think, what we would see more and more in the upcoming years. At least I hope. And if we won't see, then I will need to go and build something like that.
Yes, you will need to solve the problem yourself. Yeah, I completely agree, Gleb. Not your keys, not your crypto, as you mentioned. And not only that, I think the future of Web3 is the incredible technology that people are building now. But on the user experience side, it's certainly the complexity of it all is hopefully abstracted away somewhat. And it sounds absolutely wonderful what you guys are building over at Calimero. I have one final question. Where can people go if they want to learn more? Drop your website, drop your Twitter, drop your Tinder profile if you need to drop your Tinder profile, drop whatever it is that people need to know if they want to learn more about Calimero.
Like the easiest way is to go to our website. From the website, you can go to other places, but I would say that we are posting in Twitter. We are also doing some content marketing, but we're writing the articles for our blog by ourselves. So we don't trust anybody. We don't trust ChatGPT. To be honest, I've tried. To generate an article with ChatGPT, and it was awful because yes, the words are right, but the article doesn't make sense. So we're spending a lot of time writing some useful content in our blog. There were articles by Sandy. There were some articles written by myself. And this is the way how we see the Web3 ecosystem in general. I feel that nobody here uses LinkedIn, but in any case, we're also doing some stuff in LinkedIn. GitHub, as I said, we appreciate if you would visit, give us a star, and follow us on other social networks. And from the website, you can access, you can get a trial. If you have any answers, you can book a call with me through the form on the website. And we are really glad to answer anything. Feel free to reach us anywhere.
Brilliant. Gleb, you've been nothing less than an incredible guest. If you want to learn more about Calimero, head to calimero.network. At the footer of their webpage, they have a link to their wonderful Twitter account, their LinkedIn page, and I'm sure you'll find their GitHub somewhere on there as well. And of course, if you want to know more about CertiK, you can head to CertiK.com. You can see the security leaderboard. You can check out the incredible audit that Calimero got from the wonderful auditing team here. But on that note, thank you so much on behalf of myself, on behalf of the CertiK team, on behalf of all of the incredible audience members, and thank you even more to each and every one of you that tuned in to listen. And that's a wrap from me, guys. Thank you so much, Gleb. It's been a pleasure.